Borderlands 3's release is just around the corner, and there's a ton of big changes to this game compared to its previous predecessors. So in this video, we're going to be going over the top 10 biggest changes that you need to know about Borderlands 3. Without a doubt, one of the things I'm most looking forward to in Borderlands 3 is the exploration of new planets. There is a total of 5 coming at launch, but the beauty of this new planetary system is that it opens up new opportunities for sizable content expansions and exploration. You'll be visiting these planets via the new Sanctuary 3 spaceship, and there's even a cool planet and galaxy map that you can get access to. Out of the 5 planets mentioned, we already know of 4. We have Athena's, which is a misty, tranquil planet that is mostly uninhabited except for a sect of monks known as the Order of Impending Storm. Then we have Eden 6, a backwater swampland covered by lush greenery and stagnant waters, and family home of the Jacobs clan. Next we have Promethea, a metropolitan world covered in futuristic towers of chrome and glass, and is also home to the Atlas Corporation. And then we have the final planet we know of, which is Pandora. And well, if you've played Borderlands before, you know exactly what Pandora is like. That leaves one more planet, and I guess we'll have to wait till launch to find out exactly what that planet is. The new element being introduced into Borderlands 3 is known as radiation. Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford stated on Twitter that they essentially replaced the slag element from Borderlands 2 with something that actually made a little more sense, being this new elemental type. So how does this new radiation element work? Well, there seems to be a lot of confusion around the specifics of this element. From what we've gathered so far in terms of an actual description, it seems that radiation damage will cause targets to become irradiated. Irradiated enemies will essentially deal aura damage to nearby enemies for 8 seconds, and if an irradiated enemy dies, they explode, irradiating any enemies damaged by the explosion. So it's kind of like a chain reaction effect. However, in addition to the damage over time effects and its ability to spread to other enemies, it seems like radiation may also lower enemy resistances, similar to that of the corrosive element from Borderlands 1. The reason many people believe this to be the case is because Randy Pitchford himself came out on Twitter and stated that the radiation effect has a similar effect to slag, in which it increases vulnerability to those affected. Many people are also reporting that this won't be anywhere near as powerful as slag was from Borderlands 2, and that the damage increase is around 20 to 30% compared to slag, which had a 200% increase in damage. So there's quite a few new and returning weapon manufacturers in this game. Starting off with the newest addition to the gunmaker lineup, we have Children of the Vault. Their weapons are cobbled industrial creations that have unlimited ammo capacity. But be careful though, as the unlimited spray of bullets cause them to overheat and you'll have to pull out your trusty water pistol to cool them down, which can take away from your time to kill on enemies. In addition to this, we also have the return of the godlike power of Atlas weaponry from Borderlands 1, but now with smart bullet technology that tracks your targets. Simply hit a target with your tracking dart and fire away. Next up, we have Iridian weapons, and not much is known about them at this current time. In fact, the only Iridian weapon I have seen so far is this giant gun known as Gun. This weapon quite literally shoots out other weapons, which sounds absolutely insane and is kind of ironic that the gun is a literal looter shooter. The gun itself needs to be powered by some kind of resource, which many people believe to be iridium, so this isn't something that you can just infinitely use. Anyway, moving on to the final addition for this part of the video, and that is alien weapons. Now these work a little different to everything else in the game. Essentially there is alien weapons within all weapon manufacturers, and if you're lucky enough, you may find a weapon you like that comes with alien parts. For example, on this weapon it has an alien gun barrel. The barrel itself increases the damage of the gun by 100%, and the part itself is also very visible on the gun. I haven't seen too many of these weapons from all of the gameplay reveals and stuff like that, so I do believe these are like rarer variants of current weapons in the game, and judging from the damage increase, these are definitely going to be on the more powerful side and will definitely be something that collectors will be seeking out. One of the key features of the Borderlands franchise is the looting system, and in Borderlands 3, it has changed a lot. Starting off, we now have instanced loot, which means that instead of sharing the loot pool with your friends and maybe missing out on an awesome weapon because somebody else grabbed it first, You'll instead each have your own unique loot pool. In addition to this, loot will drop according to the player's level. Even if your friend is level 20 and you're only 10, you won't be finding level 20 guns dropping left and right. And this also ties into the new level scaling system as well, which I have to say is one of the best new additions to this game. This allows players who are either over-leveled or under-leveled to play with each other properly, and no matter whose game you are in, all of the enemies in that game will be matched within your level range. So if you're level 30, you will find enemies that are around the same level. If you're the type of Vault Hunter who loves to challenge yourself, then the new Proving Grounds will be right up your street. The Proving Grounds are essentially themed gauntlets that are watched over by a guardian known as the Overseer. And in these gauntlets or trials, you are in a race against the clock. You will be tasked with fighting your way through 3 separate areas filled with mobs of enemies and also a huge boss fight in 30 minutes or less. The cool thing about this though is that you earn better rewards for completing cool challenges. For instance, if you complete your chosen trial quickly and efficiently, you'll earn better rewards, and for even greater rewards, you can complete bonus objectives like beating the Proving Grounds without dying. There's plenty of bonus objectives and challenges you can complete whilst in the Proving Grounds, and by doing so, you can ensure that you get the best loot from the chest at the end every single time. New to the Borderlands franchise is alternative firing modes, and you'll notice that a lot of guns in Borderlands 3 will have this new mechanic. For instance, some dull weapons can switch between 2 different firing modes. These usually include semi-automatic, fully automatic, and burst fire. For Maliwan guns, some will offer the ability to switch between different element types, and for Atlas weapons, well, they can shoot tracking rounds, which after applied, all regular shots will target that tracked enemy. You get the idea here. These modes can really change up the potential of how powerful weapons can be in this game, and the only real downside to this is that switching between the modes can take some time and may not be the best choice to make when in the middle of a mob of enemies. Ellie's new catch ride system in Borderlands 3 really takes the customization of this game to another level. There are 3 different vehicles you can spawn from catch ride stations. You have the Technical, the Outrunner, and the Cyclone. Each of these vehicles have a variety of different customization options. You can choose your body type, your driver weapon, the turret weapon, vehicle modifications such as passenger seats, jet boosters, fuel barrels, and more, and you can even change your wheels and armor. Now, one of the ways you obtain these vehicle upgrades is from hijacking enemy vehicles. Once you have hijacked a vehicle, you might run into some new vehicle parts. You can then drive down to any nearby catch-a-ride station, scan the vehicle in, and obtain those new parts to use on your own vehicles. It's a pretty cool feature and definitely a great addition to the Borderlands franchise. The more loot we can get, the better. Let's talk about the new movement mechanics in Borderlands 3. In this game, you'll have a far greater level of mobility with the ability to slide, mantle, and crouch. The difference that subtle improvements like these can make in gameplay can be phenomenal. With the ability to slide into cover very quickly, crouch when needed, and mantle onto a ledge above the player, it really changes the way that these games can be played, and overall, from experience playing the game at one of the gameplay events, the movement feels a lot more fluid, better, and faster. The cool thing about this game is that each Vault Hunter has its own unique skills and abilities. Unlike previous Borderlands games, Vault Hunters in Borderlands 3 will have 3 action skills at their disposal. For the Siren, Amara, she has a phase slam ability that allows her to leap into the air and slam the ground, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. Her other action skills are phase cast and phase grasp. Phase cast allows Amara to send forward an astral projection of herself, which also deals damage to everything in its path, and phase grasp allows her to summon a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the targeted enemies in place for a few seconds, kinda similar to Maya's phase lock from Borderlands 2. Moving on to Zane, the operative now, and what's cool about Zane is that he can equip 2 action skills at once, though choosing to do so will replace his ability to use grenades. His first action skill is Sentinel, which allows him to send an automated drone into battle that continuously flies through the environment and attacks enemies with its machine guns. His other action skills are Digiclone and Barrier. Digiclone allows him to spawn in a digital clone of himself that stays in place but distracts and fires at enemies, and his barrier ability allows him to drop a deployable barrier that blocks incoming projectiles, but also allows him and his allies to shoot through the barrier, dealing increased gun damage. Moving on to Flak now, and Flak is a little different to the other Vault Hunters. Not only does he have 3 different action skills to choose from, but he also has 3 different pets that can fight by his side. These work within each of his skill trees. For instance, in Flak's Hunter skill tree, he has access to his pet Spider Ant, and for his action skill he has Rack Attack, which sends out a wave of rack from his hand to dive bomb enemies. For Flak's Master skill tree, he can send out his pet Skag, and his action skill is called Gamma Burst. When Gamma Burst is used, it creates a rift at the target location, which then teleports his pet Skag through the rift and deals massive radiation damage to nearby enemies. And for the Stalker skill tree, he can call on his trusty Jabba sidekick to fight by his side. His action skill for this skill tree is called Fade Away, and this is one of my personal favorites. And this essentially allows him to go invisible for a brief period and deal guaranteed critical shots whilst invisible. And finally, moving on to Mose, she has the ability to summon forth her giant mech Iron Bear that she and any of her allies can hop into. Now her action skills all define what weaponry that giant mech is going to have. Starting off, we have the Railgun, which fires electrified high velocity projectiles that deal shock damage. She also has a V-35 semi-automatic grenade launcher, and finally, she also has a minigun that is capable of sustained rapid fire, but can overheat, rendering it unusable for a few seconds. And the final thing I want to talk about in this video is Sanctuary 3. Now, Sanctuary 3 is your city hub, your base of operations, and where you come back to between missions. You can use it to travel to various planets, and one cool feature that this ship has is that it will change based on your story progression, but will also change depending on what you have accomplished throughout the game. Starting off in Sanctuary 3, you will first notice the new Lost and Found vending machine that spits out all of the loot you may have missed on your journey. Marcus also makes a return on the ship, and he now sells storage deck upgrades for all of your weapons and backpack needs. Crazy Earl is also aboard Sanctuary 3, and he now sells various cool cosmetic items you can purchase using Iridium. And in addition to this, next to Crazy Earl's door is the Veteran Rewards vending machine, one of the cooler vending machines on the ship. It's here where you can purchase some of the top endgame gear with Iridium. Moving on over to Moxie's quarters now, and it's pretty much as you would expect Moxie's place to be. It has the typical 4 slot machines and also the donation jar. Although I will say the slot machines are now themed and a lot better than they were in previous games. Tanis is also on board, and she's now the medic of this ship, so you can find all of the typical vending machines in her quarters, and she herself will also give out quests as well. And you also have your own section of the ship. This is where the vault lies. It's here where you can keep some weapons stored for safekeeping, or you can hang them up on your weapon wall mounts and use them for bragging rights to your friends. And one of the final things to talk about in Sanctuary 3 is the crew challenges. Claptrap, Sir Hammerlock, Zero, Tanis, and Ellie all have different crew challenges they will give you. Some will be to collect items, and some will be to kill rare creatures and badass enemies. Completing these challenges will earn you juicy loot rewards, and in addition, will also fill out empty parts of the ship. And that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be doing a lot more Borderlands 3 content moving forward. Obviously, when the game releases, I'll be doing the legendary weapons top 10s, your secrets, your Easter eggs, your guides and stuff like that. So if you're into that kind of stuff, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.